So, hi everyone, I'm glad to see you all here today to learn about study abroad at Davidson-Davie International. We've been running study abroad programs at the college. I've been taking students abroad for 20 years, since 2001, and there is actually a history of study abroad at the college going back to the 1970s, even before I worked at the college. So if this is something you've thought about doing, we would encourage you to join us. It will change your life. We have several people here who can give testimony that study abroad is the greatest thing you can do. And, it really will change your life. That we want to talk you into it today to tell you that it's fun and safe and educational and that you should consider doing it. So I'll see if I made up a couple of polls. Let's see if I can launch these questions here. So for the first question, have you ever thought about studying abroad? The second question, which of the following destinations appeal to you? Check as many as you'd like. And question number 3, which of the following things would be an obstacle for you to study abroad? Do you see the questions? Okay. I've got 6 out of 20 votes. I'll let a few more people vote. Okay, the votes are coming in. We're up to 12 out of 20. I'm going to give you about 5-10 more seconds to answer. Okay, so I think if I click end polling, then I should be able to share the results. Okay, so here we go. Pretty interesting. 80% of you have thought about studying abroad, which is really, really great. And I hope for the 13% who have never thought about it after today, you will. And the 1 person who doesn't know if they've thought about it, again, we hope will convince you as well. So all of the destinations I listed are places that we are planning to go in the next year and a half. So let's see, our winner is France. Most people are interested in going to France. That's not really a surprise. Least number of people are interested in going to Argentina. Argentina is fantastic. You should go there. All of these places are fantastic. You really can't go wrong picking any of these programs. It's just sort of, what appeals to you and what you're interested in doing and what kind of activities you want to engage in. Okay, let's see which comes in second. Ireland comes in second. Ireland and England. That's not a surprise either. Okay, so for a lot of you think that money would be an obstacle to studying abroad. And that is like the number 1 thing that students say would prohibit them from doing this. We're going to talk at the end about some scholarship opportunities and other ways you can fundraise. But I promise you that if you really, really want to make this happen, you can find a way to afford it. We've had all kinds of students go in these programs who didn't think they would have any way of going financially, and we have worked it out for them. I don't know. Let's see. I don't think Haley's here yet, but she said she might pop in. Oh, there are people in the waiting room. Let me admit these people. Okay. To just, talk about, we've had single mothers, we've had people who have worked, 3 jobs. We've had all kinds of people who were able to find the funds to study abroad. Family obligations, that can be an issue, but, we've had plenty of mothers who are able to find people to watch their kids for a week or 2 between their spouses or their parents or their friends. You can make it happen. I promise you that it will not kill your children if you leave them for a week or 2. Mine turned out pretty okay. One graduated from Duke and one graduated from UNC Greensboro, and they're healthy and happy. So you can leave your kids for a week or 2. It's really good for everyone, I think. Time off work, you'll know way in advance when your study abroad program is. So hopefully you can work with your employer to allow you to have this educational opportunity. A lot of students are worried about flying. They've never been on a plane before. Every time we take students abroad, there's at least one student who's not been on a plane before. So you won't be the first one to do that. That's true of a lot of our students. COVID, we will not go if it is not safe for us to go. And we will not take you to any place that's unsafe as far as, civil unrest or things like that. We have a lot of risk management procedures in place, and we are only going to take you to places that the college knows are safe and secure. So let me share my screen again to just show you on the website where we have our study abroad page. So if you go here, you can see all of our programs and get information about each specific trip. So for summer 2021, the programs we still have planned are France. This is a program that's unlike our other programs in that it's not led by a faculty member. You just go on your own with community college students from other places around the country, and they have a program for you. But it is a good deal because they write off a lot of the costs for community college students. So you only pay $1,000 plus your airfare. We've had 2 students apply already. And Christy, you said there's going to be another round in March of applicants. Is that right?
Yeah, so I just updated, I believe, the France page. If you're interested in applying, if you could go on that page and fill out the specific scholarship application, they're going to do a second round in March. If they don't fill all the spots for the people who submitted their applications by the end of December, they're going to open it back up. And I will say in the past 3 or 4 years that we've been doing this, they've accepted every student we've ever submitted. So your chances are really good, especially since we've only had 2 to apply at this point.
Yeah. And there are 4 different programs in different cities. So, if you click the button, it will take you to all the details, and it'll link you out to the different choice of programs from the French Embassy. It'll tell you the costs, what it includes. And this is true of each of our programs. So the second program we have listed for this coming summer is Russia. I'm not sure if this is going to happen. I'm not sure if COVID's going to clear up fast enough. Russia is one of the countries that where, in addition to getting a passport, you also have to get a visa. And it costs a couple $100. And the main thing is it takes a lot of time. You have to mail in your passport and some other papers, and it takes several weeks to get a visa. And I'm not sure that's going to be feasible for this summer. So if we don't go, though, we'll probably go in summer of 2022. We have a partnership with the university in St. Petersburg, thanks to Tim Gwillim, one of our associate deans who went on a Fulbright program there a couple of years ago. Tim, I don't know if you want to say anything about it.
As in what necessarily? Yeah, so our partnership that we've developed is with St. Petersburg State University of Telecommunications, obviously in St. Petersburg, Russia. And of course, just the program is designed for us to take students to St. Petersburg, to the university. You're going to meet their university students, be able to explore St. Petersburg, Russia, with all its, if you don't know anything about St. Petersburg, it used to be the capital of Russia, especially during the time of the Tsars, before they moved it to Moscow. And there's just all sorts of history and architecture and, really nice things to see in St. Petersburg. So, yeah, the biggest thing right now is we're trying to figure out, actually, I was talking to the university and we were talking about that very thing about visas and if and when the Russian government will start issuing them again. So it's kind of becoming a little bit of a time crunch with that. So that's what we're trying to deal with right now.
So, but you know, even if we're not able to go this summer, hopefully we'll be able to go next summer. So this is a partnership we've developed, and you know, it's a really cool opportunity. So the last program we have scheduled for this summer, it says on the website July, but it's actually in June, is a service learning program to South Africa. Now, in the poll you guys took, this was not one of the top countries listed, but I am going to tell you it is like the top place you should consider going, because this is the trip I'm going on this year, and it is really fantastic. If I show this PowerPoint, can you see the PowerPoint now? Or are you still seeing my screen?
We're still just seeing the website.
Okay, so let me do new share. Now do you see South Africa?
Yeah, now we see the PowerPoint.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so this is a program we developed through a grant a couple of years ago. And this is the first, well, it's not the first, but it's the first program we've developed in Africa, and it is a service learning program. So this is the only trip we're offering this year and next that is primarily service learning. This means you're going to be spending about 2/3 of your time volunteering. Let's see if I can get my PowerPoint to move. So this is just a little bit of information about South Africa. Some students don't realize that Africa is not a country. Africa is a continent that has 54 countries, and South Africa is located here, and it is the southernmost country in Africa. And you can see the little map over here, how it has 3 different capital cities, but the one we're going to be located in is Cape Town, which I can't see under my little zoom bar, but it's under there. And it's near the Cape of Good Hope, which you will get to visit on your trip to South Africa. And it is a stunningly beautiful place. So here's a photograph of the city of Cape Town. Here you see Table Mountain, which is this flat, iconic mountain, and you'll get a chance to take a cable car up it. When I went on the site visit with my family, my children actually hiked it, and they sort of regretted it. It was very difficult, but they survived. This over here is Lion Heads Mountain and Signal Head, and you get to go up there and see the city. You have the Victoria and Albert waterfront, which is really cool. You have a big mall and stores and restaurants and bars. You can also take the ferry from here to Robben Island, where Nelson Mandela was imprisoned, which we'll do one day as one of our excursions. Here you see the soccer stadium where the World Cup was played. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous place. We are working with EDU Africa, who are partners there, and they are fabulous people who have put together everything for us. Desi and Mike, who owns the company, they are really, really great people. So this is what all is included on the trip: 14 days in Cape Town. You'll get lectures on history, culture, health, government, etc. We will do service learning in the townships. So if you know anything about South Africa, you've probably heard of apartheid, which ended in the 1990s, where Black South Africans were segregated from white South Africans, and they were forced to live in these communities called townships. So, for example, the biggest one in Cape Town is called Kailicha, and about 1.5 million people live in this one, what we would call a slum. So it's unlike anything you've ever seen, but it's really going to be a cool chance to come in and learn from these people and learn how we can work together to solve problems. We're not going to go in there and tell people how to do things and how they should do them our way, but we're going to go in and learn from other people and work side by side from them. We're going to do these cultural excursions to Robben Island to see Mandela's prison cell, down to the waterfront for a little bit of fun. We're going to take the cable car up Table Mountain. We're going to go to the penguin colony, which is super cool. I have some pictures of these things too, the Cape Malay cooking experience. And the last 2 days will be a safari with a game drive. We won't be killing animals, but you can take pictures of them. And it really is going to be a life-changing educational journey. I've been lots and lots of places in my life. This was one of the greatest places I have ever been. We'll be staying in Cape Town in the team house. So this is what the rooms look like. It's right on the beach. even though we'll be going in our summer, it will be winter in Africa, well, in this part of Africa. So it'll be probably about 60 degrees. It won't be hot. You're not going to be staying, you're going to be staying in a really nice place. This is a photograph from one of the townships that I can't remember if this was Kailicha or not. I think this was, but this was a program for 4-year-olds. So they have all kinds of opportunities they can match you up with depending on what your interests are. You can work with children or old people or animals or sports or the environment, all kinds of service learning opportunities that they will individually match you up based on your interests and your major. But I had to share the picture of the adorable little children. So this is Boulders Beach. We'll get to go on an excursion there and see African penguins. If you didn't know that penguins live in South Africa, they do. And you can watch them swim and nest and surf, and they're really awfully cute. And as I mentioned, the last 2 days are at the Aquila Game Reserve. Well, you'll get to go on a game drive and you will probably see the big 5, which are these animals that Africa is most famous for: the lion, the leopard, the rhino, the elephant, and the Cape buffalo. When we were there, we did not see leopards. They're the most rare animal to spot, but we definitely saw the other ones. And this is a picture I took of a fat lioness that I liked, and that shows you how close we were. Apparently my husband was actually very nervous the whole time we were riding around, but I was not. I was like leaning out of the Jeep trying to get pictures, but she looks pretty fat and happy to me, so I was not too concerned. But if you're interested in South Africa, go ahead and sign up. We don't know if it's going to happen because of COVID, but the time is getting short. And as Christy was saying, though, you probably have a really good chance of a scholarship right now because a lot of our other programs aren't running. So if you're interested, fill out the application, pay your deposit, start paying your money. And if we don't go, you will get all of your money back. And before I turn it over to someone else to talk about their program, are there any questions about South Africa or anything I've said so far? No? Okay. Oh, who is eligible for the Gilman Scholarship? That's a good question. So the Gilman Scholarship is a federal scholarship. And the first criterion is that your study abroad program, no, Kaylin, you can't go. Your study abroad program has to be at least 2 weeks long to be Gilman eligible. So this would only be for our summer programs: South Africa, Russia, France, any program that's at least 2 weeks long. And you also have to be a Pell recipient to be eligible for the Gilman, which means you get financial aid, that you get a Pell grant. Christy, do you want to say anything more about that? Okay.
I was just looking at their website, and that deadline is March the 2nd. So if you are going to apply for either the France or South Africa or Russia, if it runs, just be sure to get that submitted. And you can talk to me or Suzanne. We can try to help you with that. It's a more extensive application than our normal scholarship application, but March the 2nd is that deadline.
So to clarify, there are basically 2 scholarships. There are scholarships through the Davidson-Davie Foundation, where Christy works, and any student who goes on any trip is eligible to apply for that. And you're not guaranteed to get a scholarship, but there's a fairly good chance, especially this year, that you'll get a partial scholarship for one of the programs, anywhere between $500 to $1,500 usually. So anybody can apply for our foundation scholarship. The Gilman is a federal level scholarship just for Pell recipients on a 2-week program. So hopefully that clarifies that. Okay, so next in line for our study abroad programs will be Ireland. Ireland is a program we've run for years and years. It's possibly our most popular program ever. I do love Ireland as well. We have an Irish person here with us, Kaylin O'Connell, our Fulbright FLTA. So he can add some comments about Ireland. But our faculty leaders for that program are going to be Deborah Ford and Aaron Prilliman. And this year we're going to run the program over fall break instead of spring break. So next October, over fall break, you should consider going to Ireland with Deborah and Aaron. Do you guys want to share your screen or anything?
Yep, I've got the presentation ready to go, and Aaron and I are going to walk everyone through it.
Great.
Give me just a second. I feel like a Zoom expert now. I've been doing this for so long. Okay. All right. So as Suzanne said, this is going to run in October over fall break. So no need to miss any classes. So the way we've got this presentation set up is just a little quick way to hopefully convince you to go to Ireland. We've got 10 reasons why you should go to Ireland in 2021. All right, so number one, they speak English. So this is very helpful that English is widely spoken in Ireland and Northern Ireland. We've got an Irish person here, but I think their accents are lovely. And it is very easy to understand them. Also, you can learn a little bit of Gaelic, Irish. It's kind of making a comeback in the country. And so we'll talk a little bit about that on the trip. And you'll even see some signs in Irish. So that's very neat anyway. And of course, they are friendly. So as opposed to some countries that are kind of hostile to us Americans, Ireland is very US friendly. So tourism is a big part of their economy. And they have a shared history with us, and Neve and John will tell us much about that. They are not only our hosts, but our faculty leaders. So they give us some classes most of the days that we're there. Number three, the cuisine is similar but better. They, pride themselves on fresh cut seafood. So as you know, they're an island, so there's plenty of seafood to be found. Their pastries are amazing, and I would say that probably most or all of the food that we had was fresh, as opposed to frozen, which we get a lot in the U.S. So that was one of my favorite parts, was the food. And number four, enjoy great drinks and desserts. So as long as you're over 18, you can drink. And we have a pub at the base of the hotel, so you don't even have to leave the hotel. Doesn't get any better than that, does it? Just walk back up to your room. But of course, if you stay out too late, Aaron and I will find you and drag you back down to the bus in the morning. But no, there's good stuff there. That Guinness is everywhere, and we will probably take a tour of the Guinness facility. That was one thing that we were supposed to do this past year that we did not due to COVID, but that's definitely a highlight if we are able to do that. And I'm going to turn it over to Aaron to talk about the history of Ireland.
I was muted. I'm sorry. I am not a Zoom expert, apparently. Ireland has a rich history, whether it's the early history of Ireland and the Celts, or their quest for independence from England, or some of the greatest authors and poets are writing in the English language are from Ireland. So for example, William Butler Yeats, James Joyce, Oscar Wilde, Samuel Beckett, Jonathan Swift, who wrote Gulliver's Travels, just to name a few. It's a very, very rich, important history that again is very connected to America. So we'll learn more about that. And back to Deborah, sorry.
That's okay. I was having trouble finding the little Zoom thing at the bottom, you know. All right, we will visit many beautiful places, and I think this is a major reason why to go to Ireland. It is just such a beautiful place. And these are photos that I took from the places that we visited last March. So it is windy and it is cold, but it's beautiful. So lots of history and nice restaurants and areas of beauty. Number 7, enjoy the water activities and land activities. So yeah, there is surfing, and it's actually very close to where we stay. So it's not a far trip. They do give you dry suits, so makes it as pleasant as possible. But it'd be something cool to say, you know, it's like I went surfing in Ireland, you know, at Ireland's surfing capital. So definitely neat experience. And then there's horseback riding. That's another thing that we typically do while we're there. So it is led by someone. So the horses just all follow each other. You know, they know that's what they have to do. And you get this great tour of the beach and the ocean as you're riding along on your horse. I'm going to turn it back over to Aaron, and he's going to talk about music.
All right. Well, Ireland has a rich musical tradition as well, from beautiful folk music to modern rockers like U2, the Cranberries, Sinead O'Connor, you name it. And we're also, there's lots of music going on where we're staying as well. Right, Deborah?
That's true.
There will be lots of opportunities to participate in music, whether that's listening or even playing. So,
yeah, that's one thing that we hope to do is to get people maybe to join in some songs and maybe play with them. So, if you are a musician, it might be a great opportunity to play with some other Irish musicians that we have that come to the pub every night. Number 9, make new friends. So, you know, we do spend a week together, and you will undoubtedly make friends with the people that are on the trip. So we had a great time and plenty of great places to visit, like nightlife here. And number 10, you don't want to miss out on the fun. So more pictures from our trip from last year. So doesn't that make you want to go? All right. Let's see. I do know that we do have the site up on our international website. So I just wanted to talk about that. Suzanne has the cost posted, that it's usually around $2,700. And of course, there are some ways to bring that down sometimes. So it may not exactly be that high, but everything is included for the most part. If you look on the website, you know, it covers your airfare, your hotel stays, breakfast and dinner. And all of the places that we go to, for the most part, are free, or it's part of the cost. So pretty much the only thing that you really have to pay for is lunch and souvenirs. So can't beat that. I did want to ask you, Suzanne, the website says the application date is May 1st. Is that what it's going to be?
That's what it was. Everything, as far as dates on the website, you want to take those with a grain of salt this year. As far as deadlines for scholarships and applications, I mean, I would still try to get it in by the deadline if one is listed, but probably we're going to be flexible with that. But definitely to reserve your space. Ireland is a super popular trip, and if you want to make sure to reserve your seat, you should go ahead and fill out the application and pay your deposit for sure. And Kaylin, did you want to add anything, being from Ireland?
I think I have to say Deborah and Aaron did a good job of covering most stuff there. Was impressed by the presentation. I was keeping an eye out, just to so I could criticize them if there was any mistakes. But no, I have to say it was well done. And yeah, I mean, I'm a bit biased obviously because I'm from Ireland, but it is a really nice country. You'll see some beautiful sights. You'll meet some nice people. I was saying to Christina there, the one thing I disagree with is maybe the food. I prefer the food over here, but I mean, in terms of freshness and stuff, I agree with that. I think there's just maybe more choice over here. But no, for the most part, I mean, it would be a really good experience, I would say. So especially if you're in Belfast or close to Belfast, give me a call and I'll maybe be able to meet up with you and help out if possible.
Great, thank you. I like to say that, as far as the food, the butter in Ireland is so delicious that you should go just for the butter. If you don't eat anything else in Ireland, the butter is totally worth it. It tastes so much better than our butter here. Okay, but we will move on. So those are all of our 2021 programs, but we do have a couple of programs already scheduled for spring break of 2022. So not this year, but next year. And we have two separate trips, one to England with the Harry Potter focus, and then one to Japan. And I don't know who wants to go first. I see Michelle's face, so we'll go with Michelle and Christy. They're the leaders for Japan. And Michelle has taken students to Japan twice already. So this will be the third time that they've gone to Japan, but I'll let her share the details.
Alrighty. Hello, my name is Michelle Williamson. I'm an English instructor. And like Suzanne said, this will be my third time, hopefully, leading students to Japan. It'll be Christy and I leading. And let me see if I can share my screen. I literally just walked out of class, so there we go. All right. So Japan, we're going to be going in 2022. It'll be over spring break. Japan is, I'm of course a bit biased, but Japan is my favorite place in the entire world. This picture is a picture that we actually took of Mount Fuji. Oops, of Mount Fuji. So that was right outside of our hotel room one day. We just woke up and there was Mount Fuji. All right, so our trip is going to be over spring break of 2022. It'll be approximately 9 days. The cost is approximately $3,500, and of course it's $100 off for early bird sign up. And that price includes the major expenses, airfare, hotel, transportation, some meals. We'll have a tour guide. I don't speak Japanese, so we will have a tour guide there with us to help and to arrange everything for us. So all you have to do is go to the places where you're told to go and show up where you're supposed to show up. We're going to be riding the bullet train this year. That'll be new for me, so I'll be super excited. But the bullet train is pretty amazing. The places we'll go to Tokyo, Kyoto, and Hiroshima. And then we'll come back at the end to Tokyo again, and we'll have free time, which is something that everyone always looks forward to, is free time to just kind of roam around Tokyo. And our focus is going to be on Japanese history, of course, but also traditional and modern culture. So Japan is really cool in that the culture there is very much a blend, a harmonious blend of both traditional and modern. So you'll be walking around a big city. It's all very high tech. There's TV screens everywhere. And then you turn a corner and there's an ancient shrine or temple. It's a really, really cool experience. All right, so as far as the things we're gonna see, we'll of course see a bunch of major attractions and locations. We'll do walking tours of all the major cities. And there are too many things for me to list as far as what we'll see. There's something to see basically on every street that we'll go on. But some of the big temples and shrines we'll see will be like the Golden Pavilion, this golden building over on the left. The outside of that is actually covered in gold leaf. And I'm told the inside is gold as well. Tourists, unfortunately, we're not allowed to go inside. But we are able to kind of walk around the perimeter of it. So since the Golden Pavilion is in Tokyo, so we'll see that. We'll also go to the Asakusa and Sensoji Shrine over on the right side of the screen. And that's like one of the most iconic locations to go to in Tokyo. So that huge red building with the gigantic lanterns, and there's a huge, there's the walk up to the shrine with all these. It's a really good place to get unique souvenirs that you can only get in Japan. That you can only get from those local vendors in that specific spot. I could spend easily all day in that location. And then of course there's tons of good things to eat. I'm always looking for good food. So those are some of the shrines and temples that we'll see. And of course there are more, but those are two of the more popular ones. We'll also go to a bunch of museums. We are going to go to one of the places we're going to is Hiroshima, which is of course it's a really big opportunity to be able to go there. We'll go to the Peace Museum. The focus there, it talks about nuclear disarmament, but the big focus is on peace. And that building that you see that's been bombed out is one of the few remaining structures from when that town was bombed. And then the cranes on the side represent hope. So although obviously a very tragic thing happened there in Hiroshima, the focus very much is looking towards the future and hope, and just kind of, hope for humanity, hope for the world, love, unity, all those kind of hippie types of things that I love. And then hopefully we are also going to be having a Q&A session with the survivor of the bombing. So that of course depends, that's an opportunity that's becoming more rare as the years pass. So I'm hoping we can be able to make that happen, actually be able to talk with the survivor of the Hiroshima bombing. Another museum we're hoping to go to is the Studio Ghibli Museum. So if you're interested in any of those Studio Ghibli films, the My Neighbor Totoro, Spirited Away, any of those types of films, we are hopefully going to be going to that museum. I do like to mention that the tickets for that museum cannot be bought until a month before. That's just kind of the way that they do ticketing for this particular museum. But this tour company that we've used has had very good luck in the past. So we're very hopeful that we should be able to get that. But the Studio Ghibli Museum is a wonderful place. They have films there that you can only see at that one museum. So if you're a Ghibli fan, this is like a must see. Another museum we're going to is the International Manga Museum. So if you're interested in manga, which is of course the kind of the Japanese comics, if you will, this manga museum has approximately 300,000 items in the museum. So it is a huge museum of just manga, the history of manga. You can read them. It also includes, I had to write this down, it includes manga from 1862. So the very first manga they have there on display, all the way up to current volumes of the current mangas. So that is also, if you're interested in that, that's a pretty cool thing we're going to see this year. All right, we're also going to do a bunch of traditional cultural activities, of course. So this trip will be there'll be the pop culture things. I know some of the travelers like, anime, manga, all that type of stuff. But then there's also a good mix of traditional, since again, Japan has that mix of modern and traditional. So we'll see a kimono show. We'll take part in a silk weaving demonstration. We'll also take part in a tea ceremony, which is kind of its own, there are a bunch of rules and it's a really cool experience to take part in a traditional tea ceremony. We'll also go to the Gion district in Kyoto. That's Kyoto's art district. It's known as, I guess it still maybe kind of is. It's also a geisha district. And there is some misconception about who geisha are. But geisha basically are women who are trained in arts, music, singing, so very kind of cultured women. So the Gion district is an art district. It also has geisha. Although in Kyoto, they don't call them geisha, they call them gaiko. Geisha are Tokyo, gaiko are Kyoto. So lots of cool little things like that. And then of course, tea houses are in the Gion district. So you'll have lots of fun, hands-on cultural types of experiences. And then of course, shopping. Japan, one of the big draws for Japan is shopping. People like to go the different shopping districts. So on the left is Shibuya Crossing, which is one of the most famous crossings in the world. They call it the Scramble. It's really cool to watch. Everyone just kind of goes through in all different directions at the exact same time. It looks like chaos, but it's incredibly organized chaos. It's just a really fun thing to watch. This shows up in, again, a bunch of like movies and such. So if you've seen the Fast and Furious, this was a scene, they went through the Scramble. But we'll go to the Shibuya district, lots of kind of clothing, merchandise, stuff like that. Hopefully, if there's an interest, I was also thinking about taking us to the Akihabara district, which is the big video game, anime, geek, all that, you know, kind of where all of that stuff lives. So that's a really cool place to go as well. So there'll be plenty of shopping opportunities. Japan is really big with shopping opportunities. We'll also go to a bunch of gardens. Usually the gardens are kind of around the temples and the shrines. But one of the places we are scheduled to go is the Emperor's Imperial Gardens. His West Gardens, I believe. He has a few gardens. So you'll get to see the, you know, the different flowers and plants and koi ponds, lots of koi fish, just these really beautiful Zen gardens. And again, the gardens will be kind of around a lot of the temples and shrines. So you will quite literally get to see, you know, the Zen gardens with the sand brushed and all of that. And then of course, I mentioned we're going to be riding the bullet train. The bullet train is one of the fastest trains in the world, but it's also very smooth. So that picture of the coin is you can literally be able to stand the coin up and it won't move because the train is that smooth. So I'm really excited about riding the bullet train. That'll be a new experience that we've added this time around. Most of our transportation will be getting around via public transportation. So we won't be kind of, you know, stuck on a bus this time. We'll actually get to be able to ride the bullet train and ride the different trains and subways and kind of learn how to get around Japan. We're also going to go to Miyajima Island. This is around Hiroshima. And it's just kind of a really beautiful island. It has that unique torii gate, the red torii gate that shows up in all the pictures. And then they also have the Sika deer, which are kind of the ancient, the messengers of the gods. You know, the deer are everywhere and you can feed them and pet them and play with them and whatnot. So they're a pretty big attraction. All right, and then of course, the food of a place is always a draw for me. Japan has very, very good food, lots of sweets. Japan is really big on sweets and cookies and cakes and candies. But then they've got a lot of good savory foods as well. So the steamed pork buns are really popular. There are also these dishes that you can be able to cook yourself. So you can be able to kind of figure out, you know, you can tailor what you want in it, how you want it cooked. And those are fun, kind of communal. Everyone's kind of cooking together and trying to figure it all out together. So it's a fun bonding experience as you're all kind of trying to figure out how to cook the food. And then of course, ramen is kind of a staple. I think that was a picture of fried chicken ramen, which is my favorite. And then we'll have a few traditional meals as well with all the different plates and kind of different small plates of food. So the food in Japan is amazing. I would go back to Japan just for the food. And then the last slide is just, we hope that you join us. These are a couple of pictures of past trips. So there's Enrique, who is having a moment with one of the deer. I think he might have gotten that deer to bow to him. If you bow to the deer, they'll bow back to you. So he was pretty fond of the deer. And then the other picture is Emily and Dantani at the Golden Pavilion. So I hope you join us. It's a really fun trip. It's a really, we learn a lot. We do a lot of bonding. We're literally traveling to the other side of the world. So a lot of our groups have made some really lasting friendships and just really enjoyed our time there. So I hope you join us.
Thank you, Michelle. Looks That's awesome. And last but not least, Eric is going to talk to us about the trip to England over spring break next year.
All right. I'm going to try to share my screen here. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore? Okay, wait a minute. What did I do here?
It went off to the right side of your desktop.
Are you using the 2 screens? There we go.
There we go.
Is that okay? All right. I didn't know what screen it would. Anyway, I'm not used to 2 screens, but here we go. At least it's on the right thing now. All right. Yeah. Let's see. Tough act to follow here. But my name is Eric Hill. I'm an English instructor here at Davidson-Davie, and I'm going to be the co-lead on our trip Muggles in England. It's a Harry Potter themed study abroad experience, and unfortunately, Victoria, who is our leader, she's not here today. She's much better, well versed in England. She's been there before. I haven't. And but I'll do my best here. So the rough itinerary for our trip in the spring of 2022 is we'll depart for England, and we'll when we arrive, we'll actually have kind of a orientation day where we're kind of finding our bearings. We don't venture out too far on sort of the first bit of the trip, and you know, so we'll have kind of a day where we get to know our neighborhood in England there. And then we'll have a couple of days where we're just kind of touring in and around England, seeing the sights there, including some of the famous markets like Camden Market, Leadenhall Market as well. And we'll be seeing the London Eye. I guess it goes without saying, you'll be able to ride the London Eye as well. But, you know, we'll be seeing some of the major sites there, and also the Millennium Bridge. So several really nice sites in and around London. There'll also be a day there where we're going to the London Zoo. Again, Victoria knows a lot more of the Harry Potter references than I do, but the London Zoo factored into the first movie. The London Zoo was one of the first places where Harry Potter ends up learning that he can speak to snakes. Okay, very important to the plot of the first book and movie. So again, I'm a casual Harry Potter person, and but Victoria knows much more than I do in that regard. But on day 5, we'll be going to the Warner Brothers studio tour, where we'll actually be getting to see some of the sets that were used in the movies, and how they adapted certain neighborhoods and environments to, you know, to that kind of Harry Potter universe there. So it's really interesting. I think there's actually a picture of that on the next slide I'll show you guys in just a moment. We'll also be traveling to the Ashridge Estate, and also have excursions to both Oxford and Lacock. I think it can be pronounced either way. I've spent way more time looking at British documentaries than trying to figure out what's the proper pronunciation there. So it will also spend some time taking in the sites in Oxford. Oxford's a really important city because it was sort of the medieval epicenter of you know, higher learning and religious studies as well. So, you know, it's kind of a really important educational religious site. So very important things we'll be looking at there. We'll also, I meant to say in London too, we'll be looking at the London Library, which has a extensive catalog of different books there. I think, I don't have the itinerary pulled up, the more specific one, but I think we go to at least one of the libraries there at Oxford. So, you know, a lot of times when they need a stand-in for big fancy library, they'll go to either that London library or Oxford library. Probably the most well-known is the Bodleian, I think that's right, Bodleian Library at Oxford. So again, big fancy library, you know, you got to go to one of those sites there. So. And then, of course, we'll depart home. And, you know, the great thing about this trip is, you know, we're clinging to that kind of $3,000 mark. You know, just like with all the trips here, we've had an eye on affordability. You know, we could have the most fancy, extravagant trip in the world, but it's not good if nobody gets to go on it. So we're looking for that kind of affordable price. And I know Victoria's worked really hard to kind of devise a trip here that you're spending more time on the ground, visiting and exploring these sites than just, you know, getting on the bus and taking a big 3-hour-long trip to the next site and so on and so forth. So it really is a good, nice stops that aren't too far apart. You're not spending the entire trip on the bus, and you'll get to see some really amazing things. And there's lots of stuff already included in the trip, including, I think there's breakfast every morning, and most of your evening meals are taken care of as well. This is a picture from the, here on the right is actually part of the Warner Brothers studio tour. So you can kind of get to see how they've adapted parts of London to look like different environs from the Harry Potter movies, including the Leaky Cauldron here. We'll also be spending some time in Lacock, Wiltshire, England. So, you know, this is a really famous village that they go to for a lot of filming on their historical dramas, you know, anything from, say, you know, Pride and Prejudice and its many adaptations, to Downton Abbey, to, and of course, parts of Harry Potter were again filmed here as well. So, you know, that's kind of a town that's been frozen in time. You can think of, you know, for a local analog, you can think of something like Old Salem, which has done very much the same thing. They put in, you know, rules and regulations to make sure that it's stays exactly as it appeared in that time. So it's a nice old medieval village, which comes in handy when you're filming some of those old historical dramas. And, you know, some of the big things here, some of the big draws for this trip, of course, one of the big ones is Harry Potter, but, you know, not everybody's a Harry Potter fan, and that's not a prerequisite for this trip. Again, I told you guys, I'm kind of more of a casual fan. I've read the first 3 or 4 books. By my counting, Victoria's told me I have plenty of time to read the rest, and said that I better get on that. So I'm working on that. I'm working on that. But, you know, some of the big things, of course, are the arts, literature, theater, visual arts. There, you know, there's plenty of stuff to see. As I said, you know, we'll be going to some of those big time historic libraries, you know, seeing some, you know, everything from very old medieval architecture, you know, all the way up to the present day with some of the more iconic landmarks like the London Eye and the Millennium Bridge. And of course, you know, there's a rich history to the country as well. You know, a lot of our folks from around here, you know, we've got good trips because, you know, naturally you're from either England or Ireland, et cetera, you know. Of course, the people, the tea, you know, you can finally learn when tea is served, what time it's served, what your favorite biscuit is with your tea. You know, the pubs, again, in moderation. You know, hopefully, you know, you got to be careful with those European beers because they can be very stout. They'll sneak up on you. So especially if you're a young drinker, you want to be careful. All right. And I'll finally be able to have fish and chips and mushy peas. So very exciting thing for me. And of course the markets, I mentioned some of those markets. So if you know, you're interested in this trip, of course you can contact Victoria or myself at the emails below. And of course there's a video presentation, etc. on the website. So, all right. I think that's it.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
Whoops. So those are most of our trips for 2021, 2022. You can fill out a study abroad application on our webpage. Again, you go to academics, then international education, then study abroad. All the information is there about scholarships, how to apply. There's no harm in applying, even if you just think you're interested. That sort of gets you on our list that, you know, we'll continue to email you information. Are there any questions?
How long is the Ireland trip?
So it'll be over fall break. So it's 8 to 9 days. It usually runs from like Friday through the following Saturday. It's perfect. Everyone loves Ireland. Never had a complaint about Ireland ever. All right. Well, thank you for your attention. And, you know, if you need more information, you know where to find me. So thanks. And hopefully I'll see you at our passport event with South Africa on Wednesday at 10. That's going to be super exciting. So hope to see you then. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.